First of all, I would like to thank the Max Planck Society for the kind invitation. It's a great pleasure and honor to address you tonight in this annual meeting. And I'm going to talk about the Internet of Things, IoT, which I prefer to think about as the Insecurity of Things, which has the same acronym. I'm often asked about the current state of cybersecurity, and my answer is very simple. It's terrible. If I look around at this crumbling building, I must tell you that this building is in a better shape than cybersecurity at the moment. And if you want me to say something optimistic, I can tell you that it's actually getting worse. We always knew it, but about 3 years ago, Edward Snowden started releasing a huge number of documents which just showed us the extent to which our computer systems are vulnerable. And in a sense, hackers and criminals and intelligence organizations, everyone who is interested in your data can penetrate it. And it's not only because the victims are not knowledgeable about security. Even the best companies in the world and the most security-conscious organizations are being penetrated at the moment. I'll just tell you an example from the last few weeks. I don't know if you heard about it, but a few weeks ago, there was an attack on the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where many foreign governments are keeping their foreign reserves. So Bangladesh kept almost all its foreign currency in this New York branch of the Federal Reserve, and hackers managed to steal $81 million out of the account, overcoming all the sophisticated security mechanisms. In fact, they were much more ambitious. Their goal was to steal the whole amount, more than $1 billion, and they managed to get all the necessary credentials. They managed to send all the necessary instructions to the bank to deliver the $1 billion elsewhere. And you know why did they fail? Because they made a spelling error in one of those instructions. And this caused suspicion. The 81 million was lost. No one can trace it at the moment. But the 1 billion, at least, is safe. Now, security researchers, of course, were following this and were trying to trace who the hackers were. And it turns out that they were North Koreans. And the reason that this was discovered was because the malware, the attack programs that they were using, were very, very similar to the malware that was used by North Korean hackers when they attacked Sony Pictures about 2 years ago. You remember Sony Pictures released a movie named The Interview, which ridiculed the North Korean leader. And then North Korean hackers made a lot of trouble for Sony. And it turned out that the new hackers used exactly the same techniques and vulnerabilities in order to penetrate the bank. So this is really a truly golden age for spying. And in the past, the NSA, National Security Agency, was imaged as, you know, some person with very large ears, because it was listening to everything which was going on. They had the huge antennas listening to microwave radiation, and they had the satellites sucking in all the communication that was going on. But if you look at the Snowden revelations, this organization stopped having large ears. It started having very long arms, and it is now reaching into the computer system of every company and every government and every organization which interests them, and grabbing the data. So a major trend is to move away from trying to catch data in movement and try to catch data while it is being stored, where it is much more concentrated, much easier. Once you breach the security mechanisms, all the data is there, typically in unencrypted form, and it is just a haven for attackers. And lots of intelligence resources are now being moved away from the classical SIGINT, signals intelligence, into cyber operations. For example, in the US, it was made public about a year ago that they are going to quadruple the size of the cyber command, which is responsible both for attacking and for protecting the US government information assets. And many other countries are following suit, and cybersecurity had become one of the hottest areas with the largest growth prospects. I attended a recent meeting with the former head of the NSA, in which he was asked which countries have the best cyber capabilities at the moment. So his answer was that the US is definitely at the top. They have the best abilities to penetrate other adversary systems. Then he mentioned the UK, Russia, and Israel as having the next best capabilities in no special order. Then he said that China has a huge cyber attack organization, and what makes them special is that they are not afraid to be caught. You know, many other organizations are very worried about attribution, so they try to hide their traces, and they are not taking high-risk missions. The Chinese will just go and penetrate a computer system and even leave a visiting card, and they don't care. No one bothers them. And he also mentioned that Iran is making huge progress, probably because it was a victim of the Stuxnet attack several years ago on its nuclear facilities. So how secure are our current personal devices? So how many of you have smartphones? Please throw them away. Because, you know, this is the ultimate spying device. If you think about the Soviet Union back in the 80s, they would have spent billions of dollars, you know, trying to convince everyone to carry with him a device, every Soviet citizen, a device that could listen to everything he would say, could take his pictures in every meeting he attends, could tell us exactly where he is located at the moment, could detect whether he is sitting or moving or driving a car or walking or whatever. It could be used in order to penetrate isolated computer systems. So just they are the wet dream of any intelligence organization, and somehow all of you are now carrying this device in your pocket. Now you think that you are protected because there are all kinds of cryptographic mechanisms on those smart telephones. But I can assure you that with a very small device, which could easily fit in a backpack, the NSA, for example, or any similarly equipped organization could simultaneously penetrate the smartphones of everyone who is sitting in this room almost instantaneously. And it's not only the Americans. If you ever fly to China and you go through the international airport in Beijing, please don't turn on your cellular phone, because with 99.9%, your phone is going to be infected with some malware while you are just checking your mail or checking the weather or reading news. So the situation is really desperate, and skip everything that you can do with this graph of communication of all your cellular phones. And the question is, how does the NSA or hackers or other organizations penetrate your smartphones or your laptops or other computing devices you have? So one of the best techniques, which is still widely used by everyone, is what's known as spear phishing. So the attackers are going to send you an email which will be very carefully crafted. It will look very personal. You'll have no reason to suspect that this email was not sent from whoever sent it. And they'll convince you to click on a particular link. And as soon as you click, you are hooked and your computer is taken over. And I have this problem. You see, I am often asked to review papers. So somebody in China, I don't know, sends me an email saying, I've just read your paper from last year and I've found an improvement, or I found a mistake, or I would like to inform you about something. Attached is a PDF file which describes my findings. I can tell you that I never click on this PDF file. And the situation becomes even stranger when I'm getting an email from someone who claims to be my colleague. You know, it looks legitimate. He is talking about a meeting we are about to visit and said, here is the agenda for the meeting. Am I supposed to click or not? If this is going to be a mail sent via spear phishing by hackers, any opening of an infected attachment or going to an infected through an infected link to the internet is going to get me hooked. Okay, there's another famous technique that was revealed in the Snowden document, which is called the quantum infrastructure. It has nothing to do with quantum theory. It's just a technique developed by the NSA in which they can infect a large number of computers very easily, but I don't have time to get into the technical details. If you're interested, go and search Snowden and quantum, and you'll see full details how you're going to infect computers. So if they cannot manage to hack into our cellular phones here, what else can they do? One of the techniques they love is the bulk collection of cryptographic keys, because cryptography is only as good as the security of the keys. And if I'm using a cryptographic key and my opponent knows the cryptographic key, he will be able to read the same messages with the same ease as I do. So just as an example, a recent Snowden leak described how the NSA and the British GCHQ had a joint operation in 2011 in which they stole millions of cryptographic keys which were prepared by the world's largest manufacturer of SIM cards, a company based in France called Gemalto, and with high probability, the smart cards in your cellular phones, if they were made by Gemalto, had cryptographic keys which were stolen by the NSA. Now, as soon as Snowden made this revelation, Gemalto started an immediate internal investigation. It was one of the fastest on record. Within about 5 days, they came out with a public declaration saying that they confirmed that they saw some signs that someone was trying to penetrate their computer systems, but they denied, of course, that any keys were stolen, even though Snowden said very clearly that millions of keys were stolen. If you look at the relationship between the NSA and American companies, here is a timeline describing at which stage did the NSA start sucking in all the data in those large American companies. So in 2007, they started with Microsoft, and they have access to essentially all the data of either Microsoft or companies which are operated by Microsoft. For example, Skype was bought by Microsoft. Shortly afterwards, in 2008, they started sucking data out of Yahoo, and then Google, and then Facebook, and so on. And the last one, in 2012, according to Snowden, this is a picture taken directly from a Snowden leak. Apple was the last one whose data was taken. And it's not clear, if it was with the agreement of the company or without the knowledge of the company. And Apple is also the one which started resisting earliest. You probably heard about Apple versus the FBI recently. If they cannot penetrate your computer electronically, they'll try to intercept the computer system while in transition. So if you establish a new Max Planck Institute of Cybersecurity and you order some computers from the Amazon or from a manufacturer in the US, Hewlett-Packard, there's a very good chance that those guys employed by the NSA will intercept the computer system or the modems during shipment and will modify them in a way that will infect them, and then they'll be able to read everything. This is one of the methods that there is a whole catalog of techniques used by the NSA, which was leaked in total by Snowden. So I'll skip some of the other techniques. They have, it's documented now that they had deliberately weakened several international standards in data security. So, for example, a particular method of generating random numbers, which can be used in order to create cryptographic keys, for example, contains subtle weaknesses which the NSA knows how to exploit, but everyone else doesn't know about. And actually, they even paid large American companies to make this flawed way of generating random numbers the default method in those products. So we are already in a deep security crisis. There are way too many vulnerabilities, and new ones are being discovered all the time. There are no easy solutions. And hopefully a new Max Planck Institute will try to at least alleviate this very bad state of affairs and try to use some fundamental new approaches to reestablish security. Now let me move to the Internet of Things. IoT devices are basically bridges between the virtual and the physical world. And on one hand, they are computing devices, which are all connected to the Internet. And on the other hand, they try to either sense or control the environment. So they have both sensors and actuators. And almost everything you see on the right-hand side, could be made smart. And every day we hear about new smart things. Some of them are absolutely crazy. Some of them are hilarious. For example, you can now buy a smart TV, and this is reasonable. You can buy a smart refrigerator. I'm not so sure about that. You can buy a smart toaster. I even heard about a company which is trying to make smart diapers, which are going to send a message to your iPhone if the diaper turns out to be wet. So I'm sure you are all going to rush and buy those new inventions. Now, many of them will change our lives in various ways. There are various predictions about how many of them will be around. The most reliable prediction is that about 50 billion things are going to be connected to the Internet and to each other through the Internet over the next 5 years. So it's certainly going to be explosive. And in a white paper released by McKinsey, a very respectable research group, they believe that the total value of IoT devices and services will range in monetary value between $4 and $11 trillion. That's in 10 years. So it's certainly a huge, huge impact. Here are some of the areas where McKinsey expects to see a large impact on our life and economy. Everyone is rushing into it. It's like a gold rush again. It's a new area which is wide open, and everyone tries to grab some piece of it. I'll talk for just a couple of minutes about one of those particular areas, which is autonomous vehicles, smart vehicles which are going to drive themselves. This is an example of how the Google self-driving car looks like. It's a fairly simple car, but it has an expensive, and I talk about several tens of thousands of dollars, range-finding system at the top using lasers, and they are mapping the surrounding area. There is a radar system in front, and this car had already been driven for more than 1 million miles in the US and had very few accidents, and the technology is clearly here. So within 5 years, I believe that you will be able to buy some kind of self-driving car. And it is hard to imagine how much this is going to change our lives, because the cars will both talk with each other. There will be vehicle-to-vehicle communication, and also vehicle to infrastructure. So the car will talk with the smart road about the situation. And just to give you some examples, it's predicted that road fatalities are going to go down by 90% as a result of cars driving themselves, because most car accidents are caused by human errors. Now, think about the following situation. Today, Americans living in suburbia and possibly people living in Germany, a family needs 2 cars in order to function. Within 5 to 10 years, they'll be able to buy 1 car. So the wife, who will be the breadwinner, will go drive in the morning to her job, and then will press a button, and the car will drive back home automatically. And the husband, who will be dealing with the kids and doing the shopping, will be able to take the car and use it throughout the day. And then in the evening, the car will be sent again to the office in order to pick up the husband. So you are going to get a form of public transportation which is family-centered. There's going to be one vehicle which is going to serve everyone in the family. And just to give you another example, the way we build highways now is that you need a very large number of lanes, because cars have to keep a distance of maybe 100 meters to the car in front of you in order to avoid accidents. In the future, when the cars will drive themselves, you'll be able to drive with a 5-meter distance from one car to the next, and therefore you don't need this multi-lane highway, because the rate at which cars go through any particular point is going to be much higher. If you think about intersections of today, when 2 major highways have to intersect each other, one will have to go over the other, and you have these butterfly shapes allowing cars to go from one highway to the other. All of this will become unnecessary when cars will all talk to each other and to the infrastructure. I've seen some demos of the technology being developed at General Motors, for example. They think about the 2 major highways going through each other at the same level, no interchange. Each car will be given 100 milliseconds in which it is allowed to be in the intersection, and cars will go at 130 kilometers an hour, flowing through each other, and everything will be done smoothly and without accidents. So, huge savings in all our infrastructure. Now, there are many legal and ethical issues. Who is liable if a self-driven car is involved in an accident? Should a human be allowed to intervene, or should he just sit back and under no circumstances grab the wheel or try to brake? Should the autonomous vehicle strictly obey all traffic laws, or this can cause confusion in a mixture of autonomous cars and human-driven cars? There are many ethical issues. If an accident becomes unavoidable, are you going to hit the car to your right? Are you going to hit the kid in front of you? Are you going to flip over and possibly injure the occupant of the car? Many interesting questions. Okay, I'll skip many of the things. What are the main IoT challenges? Experts in the field were asked, and the 2 major things are security and privacy. And the privacy issue is huge, because in your home there are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of sensors, and they're going to know everything about you, and they are going to ship the data to all kinds of data centers, and who controls those data centers is a question. For example, if you install smart lights made by Philips, they are already being sold, and you can turn the light on, off, make it higher and lower intensity. You can change the color. So all this data about all the changes is being shipped to Philips in the Netherlands, and they will know, for example, how many times a week you lower the light in your bedroom and change the color to deep red. I'm not sure why they have to know it, but they will know it. Face recognition, it will be possible to follow someone everywhere. Samsung TV is an example. You can already buy Samsung TV, but it comes with a warning. There is a microphone built in, which is recording everything said in front of the Samsung TV, and it is shipped back to Korea. Just in case you say, please change channel or please turn the volume up or down. Are you happy with it? I'm not sure. Smart electricity meters will tell how many people are in the house, whether anyone is now on vacation. So hackers will find it very easy to victimize families who are on vacation. Okay, I'm going to skip some of the remaining slides, because I have only 2 minutes. So I'm going to tell you about the general classification of attacks on IoT devices, which I came up with. So I just tried to look at the hundreds of attacks which were published in security conferences. They usually have some kind of demo, and they have a smart coffee machine, and they show you how to attack the smart coffee machine. And then they bring a drone, and they show how they can hijack it. And there is a kid's doll, which is smart, so they show how to misuse it and frighten the baby who shouts. But in general, there are 4 types of attacks on IoT. The first one is ignoring the IoT functionality. The IoT is a device which bridges the physical and the 2 minutes. Physical and the virtual worlds, and in this kind of attack, you just don't care about what is the intended functionality. You use it because it's a weak entry point into a computer system, into your home network. And just to give you an example, I'm working now as a student on the question whether there can be a virus that will spread through the smart lights of Philips or other manufacturer. So think about a virus which does not spread through the internet. Assuming that there is a large fraction of houses in Saarbrücken which are equipped with smart lights, the virus will jump from this light to that light and then to a neighbor's light and spread throughout the city, not using the internet protocol at all, but using the built-in Zigbee protocol. Attack number 2 is reducing the functionality. So at the moment, you know that your computer might be hijacked with ransomware. So suddenly you get a message that your computer is locked, all the files have been encrypted. In order to unlock it, please pay 1 Bitcoin to some Bitcoin address. And I can definitely see the future in which your smart TV will be ransomed in such a way. Or your smart refrigerator will display a message, unless you pay within the next 8 hours, all the food will be destroyed in the refrigerator. It can be quite unpleasant. Attack number 3 is misusing the IoT functionality. So this is when the IoT operates, does what it is supposed to do, but not at the right time, not in the right way, in an unauthorized way. So you are just triggering all kinds of behaviors. You have a Nest smart temperature controller, and suddenly in the middle of the winter, you are freezing your home, or you are turning on the heating as soon as you go out on vacation. So these are many pranks which can be run. And the last type is extending the IoT functionality. And this is where you are using the built-in sensors and the built-in actuators in order to do something totally unrelated to the original functionality. So just to give you a sense of it, you know that people had suggested using smartphones in order to make an earthquake alert. You know, people put the smartphone on the desks, and if there is an earthquake in a certain area, all those smartphones are going to shake, and this can be sensed by the sensors in the smartphone, and there can be alerts sent out. There is an earthquake centered in this particular location. So I can give you many more examples of such attacks, but there are many acoustic attacks, but I'll stop here. Thank you very much.